you. Okay. I'm just gonna see if it populates real quick. Man, I think it's about time I get my hair cut. Starting to look homeless over here. Let me at least make sure. What's up, man? Uh, Nothing. Just what you doing out here? Oh, running over here. Come here. What you doing out here? Huh? What you doing out here? Ran over here like you saw something. Um. What's up? So yeah, I guess more of what I want to talk about right now. Oh yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hard day for me. I just had to go to the store and get a couple things, but it's whatever. And I honestly forgot I said I'd go live today, so um, let me get. Though I'm not active, don't hurt. To have some thing to keep me somewhat hydrated. But yeah, it hasn't been horrendous. It's been hot for no goddamn reason. But I guess since it's summer, it has to be that way, huh? Um, what I'm very much interested in right now is yeah, I think the heat wave hit us very hard like the past couple weeks. It's not terrible right now, but it's thankfully we have air, but but when I'm at my mom's place, she don't like to put the air on and only have AC in her room. So whatever there. But when I'm here at my apartment, it's fine. Thankfully, it shouldn't be too bad the next week. Yeah, no. Aside from what fucking day was that? Monday? Yeah, Monday is looking to be 93. But yeah, it's crazy, man. I guess to get into these topics right now, I do want to talk more about the Xperia One Mark III. Shit, I can't wait. I really do hope they're most likely gonna bundle them with it, but because there have been leaks that said that there's a bundle for it, but you'd think you'd at least see them online if that was the case on the stores that at least have it up, have the One Mark III up for pre-order. But since it doesn't go up for pre-order till the first, I guess it's whatever. But yeah, let me look here. Uh, 1 3. No, 1 3. Yeah, I saw the cans too, but I don't. It was like two different bundles. There was one that had the XM4 cans, and there was one that had the buds. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Because for the One Mark II, I think through Best Buy or Adorama, they do bundle the One Mark II with the XM3 buds. Like, okay, what, right there? I guess I gotta center it, but it's kind of weird, but whatever. So it's really so close, man. Apparently, they don't come out till August 19th. So I don't know if I want to pre-order it or if I want to wait until it comes out and just get it then, so I'm not waiting for a goddamn like month. But we'll see. Um, it's funny because I've been also looking on Swappa for like both the LG Velvet and the Wing, mainly because it's like, why not? Oh, that's what's up. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tempted for the Mark II, but I want the Mark III. Not even for like the 120 hertz. I don't really care about that. Like I've talked about that before. How 120 hertz it doesn't wow me as it seems to wow everybody else, or most of everybody else. Just seems to be a boon on battery life. But we'll see what Sony does in terms of the battery on the One Mark III. Yeah, the main reason I was thinking about getting it is because even when you hold it in portrait mode, when you do swivel the screen, um, it will record in landscape mode still. So that's something that was like, that's pretty goddamn cool. The Velvet mainly sold just to have it, but on Swappa the Wing is already like 379. So that's just really cool to me. Interesting. Gonna see it go down in price dramatically here soon. How's the One Mark II been treating you? Because I know the lifespan of the V60. I think LG said it's going to go until Android 13. I think that's what they said. Um, yeah, I think they said Android 13, so another like 2 years of major software updates, and I think around the same amount of time for security updates. But even past the security update window, Google will still be. I'm pretty sure Google will still push out Google Play security updates, just so that you can still, use apps and stuff. So, yeah, I'm on the June patch on my V60, so actually they've actually been updating the phone pretty goddamn well. Yeah, the Velvet 2 Pro is very interesting because it doesn't have a headphone jack, and it has like, it's like the, was it the U Ultra that didn't have, that had like the touch sensor buttons, or was it the U11 that had that? I don't remember, where they didn't have physical buttons, they just had like haptic buttons. apparently the Velvet 2 Pro was going to do that as well. um, which is very interesting. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I would have felt about that. And apparently there was not. Apparently it was going to take the place of the V series. So the V60 would have been the last LG phone to have a quad DAC. Honestly, if you're fine with your one Mark II, I would just say I would say just go for the Pixel 6 Pro, because one, you're not going to be get because you're not going to be getting is they're one is the same sensors aside from the telephoto being a dual phase sensor. If you care about telephoto, um, you probably don't really care about 120 hertz all that much. Or if you or you already have a phone that has it and whatever. But it's, well, I'd honestly just say the only reason I'm going for the Mark III is because I want another Snapdragon 888 phone compared to the S21 Ultra. Because, like I've stated time and time again, the Ultra gets hot. It doesn't have that great of cooling, and thankfully I have air, so it doesn't get too bad here. But yeah, the G6 was underrated, man. The problem that the G6 had for, spec junkies is that it had the Snapdragon 821 instead of the 835. Even though the reason that it didn't have the 835 was because Samsung bought up all the 835s at the beginning of the year. Like, it was stupid. But the G6 was the first phone to have a complete always on display. Like they advertised it first. They were like always on display, and then Samsung did it. It's like, yeah, it's just funny. I had the Ice Platinum G6, which was like the silver with the brushed metal look on the back. Right there. Yeah, right there. I had that one. I loved it, man. The only real problem with the that's nice. Um, yeah, it's very funny. It's very weird because the S21 Ultra, when I was comparing the M1 iPad Pro to the S21 Ultra and the V60, the V60 was not getting hot. It wasn't getting hot at all while rendering 4K video out. The iPad Pro got a little bit warm. The S21 Ultra got pretty hot. But but I will say this: despite the fact that the S21 Ultra gets quite hot, it doesn't really throttle performance. Yeah, I heard a lot about the autofocus of the Xperia 1 Mark II. I really did want that. That's what made me want to mess with it in the first place, but never got around to it. So I just decided to wait until. Then I was like, maybe the Xperia Pro won't be too expensive, but then the Xperia Pro comes out, and it's like, what, $2,300? So I'm like, nah, nah. So I was like, okay, I'll just do the one Mark III, and the one Mark III is coming out, and it's what I want. I would get the 5 Mark III, but I want to see that 4K. I really want to see that 4K. Because contrary to what a lot of people like to say, especially in the Apple circle, it's very weird. I can actually see the difference between things like 1080p and quad HD. Or like it's weird to me that despite the fact that I have pretty bad vision, I can tell when a company's using a less quality um, less quality panel versus, you know, a higher quality panel. That's why I didn't really mind that the V60 went to 1080p. It's because it's quality too. Oh no, I'm set on the Mark III. Ain't no doubt about that. Uh-oh. Ain't no doubt about that. I was thinking about messing with some of these gaming phones too, especially like the Red Magic 6R and the Black Shark 4. A G5. The G5 has a very loud and good like bottom firing speaker. I remember when I first got the G5, I was like, this is a loud bottom firing speaker. I don't blame you if you still use it. Plus, A, it still has a removable battery, so if the battery ends up crapping out, you can just get a new one. If it's easy to find aftermarket batteries of the G5 anyway. Yeah, the Legion gaming phone looks interesting, but I think that phone heats up the quickest out of all these gaming phones right now. But you can get it on eBay for $575. Yeah, the Axon 7 was that phone was a beast too. It was like the HTC phone. It was that 1M9 HTC didn't make. Like basically that's what the ZTE Axon 7 was. It sucks ZTE eventually went the route of taking the headphone jack out, but we still have Asus that does it. We still have like plenty of LG phones that have it. Sony brought it back. More and more players are bringing the headphone jack back. It's very interesting, and it's nice to see. Outside of having to go to the lower end to get one in the first place, so oh shit. I didn't. I think I did this last time we talked about all these phones, but I do want to see. Oh yeah, the Axon 30 Ultra. I think this does have it. Let me check. Let me look. I did want to look at this phone too, because one, the 256 gig, 12 gig of RAM version is only $849. It has a triple 64 camera, 64 megapixel camera setup, a 144 hertz display. It looks very interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people think it's it sucks, man, because hold on, give me 1 second because I'm trying to see something here. I was trying to see if the Axon 30 Ultra had a headphone jack, but it doesn't. How many LGs do I have? Right now, I have a busted G2 a mostly busted G7, um, G8, and V60. My V40 I gave to my dad, but I've owned every single LG phone since the G2. Aside from like the G Pro, the G2 Pro, or the G Pro 2, whatever the hell they called it back then. Never had any of the Flex devices, but I've had every single, aside from the V50, I've had every single V series phone, and I've had every single G series phone. Aside from, like I just said, the G Pro and the G Flex. But yeah, that front facing camera, I don't use the front facing camera enough. And here's what I'll say. How long am I gonna use the V60? The thing is with the V60, I plan on keeping it until it's completely done. It hasn't my AT&T SIM in it solely so it could get updates, but it's what I'm looking. The problem is, and this is something that I've seen. This is something that I've kind of come to an epiphany and kind of accepted, is that I can never fully, completely replace an LG phone. Just can't. Like, if I want similar amount of capabilities with the camera and stuff, it's obviously I got to go to Sony. Just like Sony with the V60, I don't use the front facing camera, so I don't really care about that. Even though the V60 has a really good front facing camera, it's really good. There's nothing really wrong with it. Then if I wanted the same kind of headphone performance or similar enough, I would have to get maybe the ROG Phone 5. But even then, it's not the quad DAC. It's still an ESS Saber DAC. It's just not the quad DAC, so it's not going to do the same kind of things. Though it will still power higher impedance headphones. Though I've heard from a lot of people that the amount of software that Asus puts with their audio stuff is very good. So I have been actually a little bit interested in seeing what that does, but I'm going to wait to see how much the ROG Phone 5 dips in price, because I'm just not going to sit here and buy. I'm more I'm more set on getting the one Mark III. No, not what I meant to do. Asus ROG Phone 5. You can already get a ROG Phone 5 on Swappa for $630. Like that's crazy to me. And it's boxed, sealed. I don't know if I really trust that. I trust Swappa. If it was like eBay, it would be a different story. Like I don't really trust that with eBay, but that's crazy. Yeah, it's because it's either little to nobody buys them, or they go on sale too. They go on sale way too much, way too fast. Like the S21 Ultra, I got for just like $1,080, the 256 gig version. It was 970 on Swappa, but it went up to I think 1050 after tax and all that and shipping. Well, people didn't buy it because I'm not just gonna blame YouTubers, but it is indeed a big part of it. YouTubers did just say that the V60 was unremarkable and that it did nothing different. There's nothing that the V60 can't do that other phones can't. can do that the other phones can't do and whatnot. And they wrote off the dual display as a gimmick, but then tried to wax poetic about the dual display when the Surface Duo came out. There's a lot of things about why people didn't look at the V60. People, believe it or not, say that, oh, but the design, it's so outdated and all this stuff. And it really doesn't make sense to me why people say that. Because, one, why does it matter? Two, it isn't like the phone looks like garbage. It's a very nice looking phone. Um, but also, LG's messaging. That's another thing. They didn't really they didn't really know how to position the V60. Just like they didn't know how to position the V50, the V40. The last time they really knew how to position a V series phone was V10, V20. You know, just like the last time they really knew what they were doing with the G series was the G2 through G4. That's when they were strongest with their marketing. And I feel like with the amount of changes that the V series went through over time, from having a secondary display to taking that out, to having a removable battery to taking it out, to having an IR blaster and taking that out, to having quad HD, taking that out, it kind of became this thing where people didn't know what they were getting anymore, even though the core experience of the V60 is still very much a V series phone. Um, yeah, the G2 and the V10 had some of the best marketing ever LG has ever put out. Oh no, the LG G2, not the not like the HTC G2 or the LG G2X, the Google G2X, not those, but which were the stock Android phones before they did the Nexus phones. But yeah, LG put a lot of marketing into those phones in particular. Like, I remember the G3 having a Super Bowl ad. Like, the G4, while it was like a little bit less, you still knew it existed. It's very interesting to see the downfall of this brand of this brand. It's sad. Obviously, I don't like it. I wish it didn't happen, but it happened. Um, yeah, the V10, man, that phone. I remember to this day watching that commercial like at least 3, 4 times. Like, I really want this phone. I traded in my S6 for that phone. The S6 was a the S6 was a really bad phone. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. That phone overheated. The battery life was terrible. It only had 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Um, the fingerprint sensor was okay. The camera was fine. The the Galaxy S6 was probably one of the most overrated phones that have ever come out. Because and it pisses me off. It makes me mad because I think I always think I gave up my I always think I gave up my G4 for that, but I still had my G4 when I had the S6. So what I did was I gave up my V10 for the G5. That's what happened. It's I know that's kind of a hot take. A lot of people love the S6, but there are a lot of people that have had a lot of issues with that phone. And the only real issue I had with it is that it overheated very fast. Like, say what you want about the Snapdragon 810, the Exynos, what was it, 7420 or whatever. I think it was a 7420. That that chip got pretty damn hot too. Like it wasn't like a night and day difference. Where and I think obviously that has to do with the fact that they had to exclusively move to their own chip. But yeah, it was just crazy just to just see the pivot. And when LG put out those phones, man, I think of 3 years ago, or not 3 years ago, I think it was maybe 2 years ago. I still saw people with a V10. Hell, I still see people with V30s and V40s. Like people can joke and all that stuff about boot loops, but I personally haven't had the only LG phone I've had boot looped that I was actively using was the G5, and that was the first unit I got. So I didn't even set it up all the way. So I just went back to T-Mobile, got a new one, and it was fine after that. So my my G4 didn't my G4 didn't boot loop until it got banged the hell up. My V10 didn't boot loop until years after it was pretty much like years after it was, you know, it was past its prime. V20, same thing. The V20 boot looped on me too, but that was way after I was using it. Plus, I was using the V10 quite hard. I remember that. I was actually using it to record video, and I think that contributed to the fact that it died. But there are a lot of things that people don't talk about when it comes to these phones in terms of Samsung and Apple that I feel are quite that are large enough issues to bring up that just don't get brought up. Like Samsung puts terrible proximity sensors in their phones. Nobody talks about that. And that is important because if you have an in-display fingerprint sensor and the phone is in your pocket, guess what? The phone is going to start scanning your thigh and try to read it as a fingerprint, right? And to me, that's unacceptable. For a $1,300 phone, that's unacceptable. Even though I only paid 1,000 for it, but still, that's unacceptable. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to contact my dad to set up a fucking hair appointment for me, cause it's getting to the point where my mustache hair is getting into my mouth, and I don't like that. But yeah, I feel like LG always did a great job at putting out a phone that felt like it was their phone. Like they held on the features the longest. It took them to the V20 to get rid of the removable battery and the IR blaster. It took them a while for that. It's it just sucks, man, seeing all this stuff. And I'm very glad to see these manufacturers that no one really talks about come back. Ooh, shit. Ooh, damn. Come back and bring these features back that people want. And what I really do like, and I'm really happy for, is that Sony actually made their smartphone business profitable. Because remember this. Sony used to put out a new phone like every 6 to 8 months, you know, and there were like 3 to 5, maybe 6 different Xperia phones at one time. But then when they came back to the drawing board when it came to the Xperia 1, they're like, okay, we're just gonna have three phones: Xperia 1, Xperia 5, and Xperia 10. And to me, that works. That's how it should be. The Xperia 1 is for the people that want a 4K display and want an overall larger phone. The Xperia 5 is for people that want a smaller phone but want the same amount of capabilities that the 1 has. The Xperia 10 is just for somebody that wants that doesn't really need all that horsepower and that doesn't really care for all those other features that the 1 and 5 have. To me, that's very good. That was a very good decision for them to make, because when it came down to it, when you think about this, they could have been exactly where LG ended up. And I think LG just took way too long to do what they did when it came to the V60, the Velvet, and the Wing. I think they just took a little too long with that. Say if they did that around the V40 era, maybe they would still be here. You know, it's sad. It's sad to see that kind of thing. Sad to see that kind of thing just go. And I think HTC had like the best setup because they just had one flagship and a bunch of mid rangers, and that's all that was really needed. But LG just tried to stick it to Samsung, and to me that, while it makes sense why they would do that, they're like their number one competitor in every other field when it comes to appliances, when it comes to TVs. It makes sense that they would be trying to compete with Samsung in the phone market too. And try to be like, okay, you put out 2-3 different flagship phones, we're gonna do that same thing. But it was their downfall in the end. And whatever. I'm not gonna harp on that. I want to harp on the more happy stuff. Let's talk about Huawei now. Let's talk about Huawei, because I think the problem that's gonna come when it comes to Huawei is the Mate 40 is only 1180. Boy, I'm not gonna lie. That's tempting. That is tempting. Yeah, that is very tempting. But no, I can wait. Do they actually have consumer products? No, they don't fucking show the phones. Okay, whatever. I want to look HTC up again. Let's look up news. It's sad because a lot of the news that just comes up about HTC is Vive now. But, yeah, let's look at that. And when you go to HTC's US site, I've shown this before, but they don't really come on now. Really? They don't have any phone. They don't have any way to check what their phones are, aside from that blockchain phone. Which, nah. Nah. Yeah, man. OnePlus. OnePlus is doing a very good job. Sorry, got into the typical tangent, but plus the damn feed isn't telling me when someone's commenting. But OnePlus is doing a very good job sticking, putting themselves in multiple segments, and putting themselves in multiple segments and not feeling like they strayed too far off from what their core is, right? Like, sure, you can say, "Oh, but now they have $1,000 phone. They're going against the enthusiasts." It was like a lot of enthusiasts ended up going to Samsung phones, which are what, $1,000 now, over $1,000 now. Um, when OnePlus was pretty much one of the only phones that had a Quad HD 120 hertz display that you could use at Quad HD and 120 hertz. You could use that at the same time. No, nobody cared. When they gave you these things, you didn't care. The and now it's like, now that one company is gone or multiple companies are gone, now two more have to take their spot, and that's going to be Google, and it's going to be Google and OnePlus, because you already saw it last year. You already saw it the past couple of years. Ever since the OnePlus 8 and the Pixel 5 came out, it's been the same song and dance. Or the Pixel 5 is not even a flagship. Oh, it only has a 12 megapixel main camera. Oh, why doesn't it have a 108 megapixel camera? It doesn't have the Snapdragon 865. Oh, OnePlus, they betrayed their fans. They put out a phone that's $1,000 and a phone that's $700. How dare they? Like, they did this a little bit too much. They're doing this now, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And then they put out the Nords, which, to be fair, aren't phones for me, but they make sense for the markets in which they're made for. You still get high refresh rate at that price point. I don't know about the cameras, but you still get a decent amount of support. You don't get the best amount of support there. And I will agree, OnePlus is indeed slipping in terms of like operating system updates and things like that, because they, like Samsung, have pretty much vowed to update a certain amount of phones for a certain amount of time. And since they have a whole bunch of phones out right now, that does it's going to be a hard thing to manage, to say the least. Um, yeah, it's like, yeah, I have a OnePlus. The OnePlus I have is the 6T. Um, I bought the OnePlus One around the same time that I bought the HTC One M9, and I had them both at the same time. The OnePlus One felt very good to use. Then the OnePlus 6T is still a fast phone to this day. It's still a smooth phone to use. The only problem I have with it, basically, aside from headphone jack, obviously, is how did I forget? How did I forget that quick what my gripe with the OnePlus 6T is? See, now I gotta remember it. My gripe with the OnePlus 6T. I don't even remember it now. It'll probably come back to me later. The OnePlus 6T is a really good phone. Um, OnePlus makes really good phones, man. Like, I don't know what variant of the V60 do you have. I will say this: I'm not the V60 guru, so I can't just tell you what the problem is. But if, like I've said in the past, if you got an AT&T variant of the phone, you got to get AT&T service, and not any sort of AT&T adjacent service. You have to get AT&T service, period, because that's the only way to get it. You can get their cheapest plan for like $30, and you can still get your updates. You don't get basic. You get 5GE. You don't get 5G, but it's whatever. What is my problem with the OnePlus 6T got hot too, man. That's the OnePlus 6T got super hot. Um, Man, but that battery life was really good. That phone had really good battery life, and it charged very quick too. Compared to phones today, it's not like remarkable, but it charged quite quickly. If you're tech savvy, I would also probably say look on XDA and see if they could do any sort of thing about firmware flashing or something, but I really don't know because the only way I was able to get Android 11 and still get consistent updates on my V60 was just get AT&T service because it's an AT&T locked phone, and stupidly AT&T makes it so you can't even update your phone without their service. So, you know, it's dumb, but you know. Oh, that's what it was. The OnePlus 6T had a very bad speaker. That speaker was terrible. It was like very quiet, and in certain conditions, when you with certain content creators, it would be fine. It would be usable, but in a lot of cases, it was just very quiet. That speaker was not great. I wish OnePlus stuck with what they did with the OnePlus 7T, or the OnePlus 7 Pro rather, where they had the pop-up camera. I wish they kept that because a full screened phone is very nice. That's kind of what is one of the things that allures me about the Velvet, is that it does that, or the Wing is that it does that same thing, where it has the pop-up camera and the full main display. And guess what? OnePlus 6T, same thing. Um, yeah, I would. If you have AT&T in your area, I would just go. I would just go there and see. Um, just ask them for the cheapest plan and be like, I just need to up. I want to be able to update my phone. And see if there's any way that they can help you with that. If you don't want to get AT&T service, see if there's any way they can help you beyond that. But since I want some sort of service on my V60 anyway, I just decided to get AT&T service. But was it not till the I th- no, I think the 7 Pro did have some sort of cooling in it. That's when they started improving a lot what they put in their phones. Like I think they'll do stuff like improve the haptic motor. The haptic motor on the 6T was terrible as well. I forgot about that too. It was very spongy. It felt cheap. To be fair, it was like a $700 phone, but it was not great. Um, Then they put that vapor chamber in there as well. Oh, sorry. I will say, even though I still don't know if this phone has any sort of cooling, I don't think I've ever had a heating issue on here. LG V60 cooling. I'm going to look it up. It's not telling me anything. Why I say B60? V60 thermal cooling. $2019. That was the V50. Yeah, I still don't know. It just sucks. I mean, I guess it doesn't suck because the phone doesn't get that hot. It gets warm, it just doesn't get horrendously hot, which is nice. But yeah, in terms of the 7 Pro, I always wanted that damn phone. I still kind of do, but at this point it's kind of old. So I just wish OnePlus stuck with what they did with that phone and just had a full display and a pop-up camera and not a hole punch. That's it. Everything else they did, I think, was really good, but then they decided to copy Samsung, and it kind of turned me off from the OnePlus 8. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Though I did want the OnePlus 7T. I think the OnePlus 7T was like a souped up OnePlus 6T in all the right ways, and that was nice. Um, I can't tell you how many times I've looked at I think the Oppo Find X3 Pro, and how much I've wanted to buy it. Or is it the Find X2 Pro? No, it's the Find X3 Pro. Okay, that's the one from last year. Yep, that's the one. 980. Like, I can't tell you how much I've wanted to buy this phone. Like, like that camera, it shoots video and log. That's something that some people have an issue with, that the Xperia 1 Mark III isn't going to be able to do. This phone can do that. Um, the last phone I had that the only phones I have that do that are the G7 and G8. Those can shoot and log. But this also has a microscope camera as well, which is very cool. And that's honestly what kind of made me want to get it in the first place. But I'll get it one day. It's just not gonna be now. Let me see here. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. You won't even let me get to this damn PDF, bro. Screw it. It's whatever.
Come on, Cujo.
Nothing important. Really, I can't just not mess with the phone. Yeah, so, apologies. Anything else y'all want to talk about? um, because like I said, I'm really excited for the One Mark III. It's gonna be really nice to see what that phone can do. And if there ain't no bundles at all with the WF-1000 XM4s, the earbuds, I'll just get them separately. I've honestly been kind of tempted to do that anyway, but anything else, just let me know. Sorry. A lot of tension in my body right now. I mean, to be fair, this is YouTube quality. It definitely wouldn't look like this in Samsung's own app. My beard's quite artifacty. Let me check. Because I swear to God, yeah, nothing quite yet. I'm gonna just send myself a super chat. that's funny. Yeah, I'll give it a say 5 to 8 more minutes. Oh man, no, this thing about to die. Unless YouTube just ain't fucking giving me any of the chat. I guess I'll just do a test right here. Test. Nah. $10 o'clock. I do gotta get up early. Shoot. You know what? I think I'm gonna call it here. What the fuck? Thanks for stopping by. Oh boy. It's going in extra for work. I don't know why I said early. I work overnights, but going in extra for work. So I gotta get some sleep here. Um, Again, thanks for stopping by, you guys. I really do appreciate it. Whether it's one, two, three, four, whatever, it don't really matter. So long as I'm able to have a conversation with people, that's all I really care about. So yeah, this is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Jesus Christ Tuesday. Whatever time of day it is in your area, have a good one. Though we'll see. But like I said, I'll probably just give it 5 more minutes. Um, Ask whatever, start a conversation about whatever. It don't really matter. Nah, I think it's about time. All right, see you guys later.